you haven't figured it out yet, I'm thinking an inline offset spinner in less than 2 inches. Let's see if we can get that to work out well. Because I'm wanting the weight and the strength to match, I'm going with maple. Hard maple. So I can't complain about that. Let's just see how this goes. Doesn't look like there's anything out there. Oh, lady, you don't need to growl up to nothing. Oh, puppy. Is it that bad? Is it that bad? You don't need to go out there. It might be a coyote. Here's how that design's gonna be. Just gotta cut it out and get to shaping. A little bit more refined. Just remember when you're doing this kind of stuff, cut as slowly and intently as possible. You'll get a cleaner cut that way, and you're less likely to mess up and cut yourself. And that's the last thing you want. These bandsaws will mess you up. Here's how this is coming out. See, it just needs a little bit more refining to the shape, and it'll be ready to give it the tapers. Now, this is maple, so it did burn a little bit on the cutting, but that's nothing a little bit of sandpaper won't fix. Speaking of, we're getting to the fun part. Now, before we go to the part by using the sander, I gotta mark out the tapers on this little lure. Break out the triangle. I can start off the tapers. That ought to be good for the front. Now, they aren't the most straight right now, but I can fix that in just a couple passes with a pen, even it out some. You do want these to be even so that you don't end up with an asymmetrical lure. Because if your lure is asymmetrical, you'll probably run crooked. Last thing you want is a lure that just pulls off to one side. You'd rather it just go straight through the water. Alright. Now, for marking the tapers on a lure like this, it's easy enough. You can either do it by eye, or you can be a little more precise. Get out your triangle. Has these marks on it for inches and centimeters. Just take it and mark for the tip of the taper. And just do the same thing, but opposite way around on this side. Now, for a bait like what I'm making here, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to make it a little bit thinner towards the back than it is in the head. Because I'm wanting it to have a little bit more room to put some tungsten in it so it'll sink evenly. So instead of just making it at that standard point, make it just a little bit narrower. You can see I've got points marked off for the nose and for the tail. Because I used my triangle, I know that they're going to be close enough to even that it's not going to be an issue. For this part now, I recommend using actually a piece of sandpaper. Makes for a pretty good tool to mark where tip to tip goes on that. I can mark it out nice and even. Getting there with that shape. Hopefully it's easier to see once we get to the sanding portion. Just make those lines a little more defined. Oh, something else to point out. But this here, in the marking the line time, that's when you want to figure out how thick and from what point to what point that tail fin or dorsal fin. Make a second line point from the base of the fin. Take out your thing again, and I'm just gonna find center there. Centimeters. I don't know how to work those. It can be fairly thin whenever you're using a wood like maple, because it's good and sturdy. That's why they make skateboards out of it. Maple, that is. Not the easiest wood to work with for carving and whatnot, but it has its places. That right there, little bitty lure, just what you need. Go on ahead and start cutting out that shape. Just a reminder, I'm going to be using this here paper as a stencil for marking the gills and whatnot, and also keeping the tail fin from cutting in too low. Also, it helps to have something to mark where the eyes go. I'll get to that later. For now, just gotta peel off that little bit of cardstock. And we're ready to start cutting out that shape. Got that shape started. Cute little profile. It's a little bit wider than it is tall, which typically I don't do, but I'm going for something a little different this time. Now's the actual fun part. Getting to marking the chamfers and cutting out the shape. Getting it to actually look like a little fish instead of a block of wood. Now, for this kind of point in the lure making, it's really the easiest to get a good even chamfer marked out. If you get a mechanical pencil or some such, doesn't have to be mechanical, that's just my preference. And just mark out get a good even line going and hold it steady so you know you can transfer that over to the opposite side. Well, my finger moved, so I'm just gonna wing it. Look at that line in that maple. That's pretty. Maple's such a pretty wood. We got this so far just marked out for dorsal fin. Gotta mark out now where you want the tapers to be. This is a simple enough lure, so, and I've done this enough, I can tell by eye if it's gonna be level or not. Just gotta get that pseudo-lateral line, transfer that over to the other side, chamfer line on the belly side, round it out on the wood so you can get something like that, and keep it going on the other side. For getting it to the other side, it helps if you can kind of mark the tip of the nose and the tail so you know at what level to start those chamfers. It's coming along, getting out in shape. Just gotta go along and mark out that same taper lines up on the back and on the belly. Like I said, I'm leaving this a little bit wider than I typically do, so it'll have that something. It'll have that something. All right. Now for doing the same on the belly. Now, something to keep in mind when you do give a lure a little dorsal fin like that, you want to shape that out before you start carving out the rest of the shape. And that's easy enough to do though, just gotta start on that part. Now we'll go on to getting that dorsal fin cut out. If I can stop dropping stuff. Just take a little pole saw, go along the lines you mark out for the width of that dorsal fin. I'm gonna take a little bit on this because it's maple. I was working on bloodwood, and now that's a beast to carve on. Compared to that, maple's an absolute joy. Pretty close. Just a couple more passes. Clean up that edge. I ought to get that ready. Now for the next side. I tell you, this little Irwin pulse saw's been a lifesaver. When I started this out, I was using a jigsaw of my mother's. Bandsaw, pull saw, everything else really helps you keep away from the overworking yourself, basically. Makes it a lot easier. A lot more fun, too. Just gotta get it started and then maintain on that line. That ought to be close enough. Just do like so, where you get it just a nice even cut. That chisel is dull. No wonder I never use a chisel. Yeah, I'm not gonna use a chisel. Much better. And if this here fails me, I'll just change it all up, go to a Dremel. Fail safe, you know. That cut's easy enough. Of course, this is a pretty sharp knife. There. Guess who just cut herself? Me. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Just one Band-Aid poorer now. Try just a little bit more with this here knife. Gives me any more fits, I'm switching to the Dremel. My mom got me this knife, and I love it. I have no idea what the brand is, but it's quite sharp. Evened it out just a little bit. I'll fix off the roughness with the Dremel. So I guess I could have just done it with a Dremel anyway if I'm going to use it at some point. But I didn't want to mess up what could be precise work, potentially. It's coming along, smaller, but there's no need for a gigantic dorsal fin. It'll just get in the way of the blade spinning. Let's go on ahead, get out the Dremel. This here's the Dremel bit I'll be using. I guess it's like a barrel bit or something. I don't know. But it's a lifesaver in lure making. It goes a lot quicker getting from rough carve to finish. So let's go on ahead and taper out some of this carving in here. I can get better than that. There we go. Cute little dorsal fin. Let's keep on going. Remark out what I dremeled off, and then we'll get to carving out those chamfer lines. That's where we are now. Now it does look a little bit rough on those burn marks, but once I get to the sanding and cleaning it up, you won't even know they were there. Cute, cute, cute. With chamfer lines all ready to go, time now to start on some carving. See, it starts to look okay pretty soon once you get those chamfers started. Do the rough sanding to get the shape all nice and what I like with my Dremel. And that same bit I used to get the dorsal fin cleaned up. If I were doing the sanding by hand on maple bait, I'd be here a couple days just on the sanding part, because it's a little bit on the tough side. But hey, that's what makes it so nice for getting sinking baits and durable things like musky blade baits or some such. Now we don't really get musky here down south Louisiana, but it doesn't mean I could never take a trip, test them out, or hey, maybe one of y'all wants my baits. Once I can afford a better camera, I'll get some better angles get those close-up shots of me carving and whatnot a lot easier, because I'm just filming with my iPhone. But hey, we all gotta start somewhere. And I'm having fun, so why not? Make that a little bit sharper. Yeah, that's coming along. If I can keep from dropping it. Looks a little rough yet, but trust me, once you get to the finished sanding, you hardly even know that it looked like a scraggly block of wood. That's how it's looking. Coming across, got that little minnow profile. Come on, don't focus on the face, look at the lure. Come on. Well, it's the same color as my skin, so that helps a lot. All right, now I got my Dremel ready to go and the lure ready for its rough sanding to be done. I mean, you can do this if you've got like 80 grit sandpaper and it goes quickly enough if you've done the carving part smoothly, but really it's the easiest to just go at it with a Dremel. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, just 5 minutes and it went from roughly carved out to a whole lot of fingers in your way. A lot less icky, scratchy, a lot smoother. Stop focusing on my face camera. Look at the lure. That's what this is about. It's a lot smoother. Now it just needs a little bit of finish sanding, which is the longer part, and then it'll be ready to send a slot down the middle. And all right, put my buck knife down, and we start off with 100. Now this is the part that's relaxing for me, because it just is. It's nice. Get a piece of wood, starts off rough, and it turns to shiny, shiny, shiny. One thing though, I did get a little bump at the base of the dorsal fin, so I'm gonna get out one of my micro files, and not that one, get out the round one. And that'll soften it up nicely, a lot quicker than the folded up chunk of sandpaper will. That's all it needed. Yeah, that's coming out well. Let's go back to the refining. Old lady's barking at the nothing. Kinda fish piqued my fancy. Rainbow trout. Go for the classic. Natural look, good and clean and dirty water. It's hard to beat the look of a rainbow trout hard bait. And besides that, nostalgic reasons, that was like my intro to fishing, was growing up fishing Bennett Springs, Roaring River with my dad and grandpa. Those are some good memories. This being an intro to the channel, it's probably going to be a little bit of a longer video than I typically will do. But nonetheless, maybe not. You never know. I could end up having random things pop in my head. I'm talking and talking and sanding and sanding. Next thing you know, I've got an hour-long video on shooting soft plastics. All right, 100 grits down. It's already looking pretty good. And just go on to 320. We'll get it going a little bit smoother. In no time, this will be ready to seal. That's already looking nice. It's been a while since I've worked with maple. I've been making a lot of lures out of basswood lately because I just like the buoyancy of it. Alright, let's get back to sanding. Well, great. Dropping my bait. This is a lure making channel. I'll focus a little bit more on that instead of the critters. Unless they're bass or whatnot. Fishy critters. That 400 grit does a lot better a job than I remember. That really polishes that nicely. I'm gonna have to add that back to my routine, I guess. But hey, I enjoy sanding, so I don't have a problem with that. All right, let's see. It's got that nice wood grain texture to it, but still very smooth. And I like that line down the side, but even so, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna give it a nice paint job. Yeah, rainbow trout. That's what I'm thinking. All right. All right. See, just a nice line down the center of the bottom of the bait. And that's looking pretty good. Let's get it going then. That through wire. And I do want it to come up at a slight angle instead of straight up. I mean, I guess I could do that, but I just am going for something a little different. Nothing wrong with it, I guess, if you do make it a little more up and down, but that's just not what I'm looking for at the moment. "48 minutes of sanding and cutting on that bait to get a nice straight through wire line tie slot, I guess. Since I got that looking good, time to widen that hook slot using a microfile. Fits just perfectly. Widen that up. It being my first ever video with y'all, I might just do something different to celebrate, because I'm saying it's celebration worthy. Getting a new start on something. Clear out all the excess sawdust. A good rule of thumb whenever you're making a wire slot or a hook slot or anything like this in a hard bait, make it just a little bit wider, but just the teeniest bit wider than the hook or the wire, what you're gonna put inside the slot, so you can do things like tie off inside the slot and have more durable connections. Snags, not gonna break off on you if you have like 100-pound braid or something and you're casting it into a branch pile. It's not gonna pull the through wire out. Instead, it's gonna either break off or bend out the split rings. And honestly, that's a lot better than breaking or losing your lure, and do it better than what they make in the store. Because anybody can go out and buy a $7 jerkbait, but if you make it by hand with the best components money can buy, and do things like tying off your through wire on extra heavy gauge wire, use tungsten instead of lead, you make you a unique lure that's not something that the fish have seen before, and in theory it should be able to stand up to any fish you catch. See? Nice, straight, beautiful little bait. Fixing to have an interesting style and action to it. Kinda excited to see how this comes out. Thanks so much for watching my video. It's a real appreciated thing y'all are doing. So thank you. And ready to tie off some wire. I'll be back in just a sec. Make sure you got a hole that's big enough in the base of your bait so you can bed that wire in there. So I took this here, got it a little bit tighter and a little more accurate, and I did like I always do and sanded open a slot for this to sit nicely in. Now I've got to do some bending on it to form the hook hanger and then the spinner harness and line tie. I've gotten to a point where it's ready to seal, and I just need to add some weight and then add the wire harness, which sits in there very nicely. I might need bend this down just a little bit so it's a little more level. But otherwise, I'm quite happy with how this is turning out. Before you know it, it'll be ready to paint. One extra thing. Before I hit it at the drill press, I am going to go on ahead and seal this wood because I don't want there to be any tear out or breakage that could be mitigated by just a little bit of super glue. And that's really all it takes. Just got to take a hog hair brush, which are very cheap. Get them like a bag of 100 for like $12 at Amazon, and still they are very useful. Just gotta pull out the stray fibers, and before you know it, we'll be ready to go. Super glue time. I use Star Bond super thin super glue, a couple of drops of super glue, and that's all you need. Oh, duh. Sounded like Hank Hill there for a sec. Oh, I dropped my bait and I glued my all to my hand. That's what I meant to do. Well, I hope I didn't get any super glue on my bait before. And it looks okay. That's what makes lure making fun. Dab the brush into super glue and go on ahead and paint it on. Super glue dried before I got it finished, so I'm gonna have to get out a new brush. Don't do as I do it smarter. Don't knock over your cut. Don't wait till you already have super glue in the cup to secure your lure onto a thing. Get it going nice and smooth. And there you go. That's so much better if you don't do something dumb like I did. Ooh, feel me though. But it works very well. It soaks in, dries smooth, dries clear. It's worth it whenever you get this kind of quality of a finish on a bait. And see that? Nice and smooth, cured well. Rub it down just as quickly and softly as you can so you don't get those puddles of super glue drying on it. Eventually, whenever I get a better camera set up, I'll show y'all up close a lot easier. But, yeah. See how shiny of a finish that is? Very, very pretty. Hopefully, with just a little bit of tungsten, that goes quickly. So, I'll see you in just a sec. All right. That came out pretty cute. Little eye, little eye. Just gotta clean up the socket a little bit and give it a clear coat. Not a clear coat, tungsten hole in the belly. All right, I got the eyes sealed. Just showing you how it looks right now. Isn't that cute? A little bit wide, but that's just how I wanted it. Perfect little bait. Your spinnerbait's not enough weight they will roll. And that's no good. Nobody wants a rolling spinnerbait where the fishy looking part is up top and the blade's spinning down below. I mean, sure there are underspins, but it's not as desirable whenever the treble hooks are up top. But we'll get there. We'll figure it out and we'll see how it goes. But next, like I said, tungsten. Isn't that just like everything? You think you got just the right thing, and you can't find it. But they've got to be in here someplace. So I'll leave you be for a second. I'll be back shortly. All right, I finally got the bit changed out. I found my chuck key. That took me a while. And drilled out a nice 10mm hole to hold the tungsten, which I also found. Little bitty 1/8" ball bearing tungsten carbide balls. So it should take paint and look very finely finished. Ideally. Oh, yeah. Other lures too. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll be making more videos. And those that don't get videos will go on Instagram. It's time we get back to the fun part. Putting together stuff. Got the first one in there. Let's see how well this lays on top of that. If I'm gonna have to drill it out anymore, or if this will be okay. Oh, see? Little divot, because I use Forstner bits. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Beautiful. So let me give it a little bit of thick super glue to tack it in place. The wire and that little ball. Okay. Super glue accelerator, which is also a bit of a lifesaver. It helps so much with this process of tacking things in place and making sure stuff sets up well. Okay. Put a little bit of super glue, thick super glue, in that hole. And then I'm going to set in it tungsten carbide ball bearings all the way around it so it sinks nice and bottom heavy. Just give it some more goo. All right, and that feels heavy. So next, I'm gonna seal the rest of that hook slot, but not with super glue. I've got this Kisrel UV resin, and I will just build it up a little bit at a time. And then it sets with UV light. And I don't look at the light directly, regardless, because that's dangerous, and you shouldn't do it either. Just a little bit more. And then UV sets it and cures it like instantly, and it's so much better, a lifesaver. It's called Dark Beam. I just got it off Amazon. So let's just keep this going. And it's setting in. And that gives it also a little bit more of a smooth finish, which helps with the lack of water permeability. Just a little bit more UV resin. I've got super glue all over my fingers, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm spreading out the residual UV resin and giving it a cook. And here she comes, Madam Clicky Paws. What do you want? Want puppy time? I'll put on some of this other stuff. Oh yeah, it drops over if you hold it by the, well, that's what I meant. Drop everything on the floor. But yeah, got this UV resin, so I'll go over in a thin coat. I can feel it curing through the wire. That's interesting. The texture of that wood through the UV resin is some kind of pretty. And let's see. See that wood grain? Another dollop. Another squirt of light. See if that'll pick up for you. Don't focus on my face, focus on the lure. I need to figure out how to have a camera that doesn't always auto lock onto the face. See that though? That wood grain showing through. If not, I'll just take a picture of it and see if I can just edit that in. Ain't that pretty? I'd say so. Yeah. Needs a little bit more curing on the tail portion. The silhouette that this got kind of makes it look a little sharky. So I'm liking it. Okay. Let me pause my recording and I'll get some close-up shots for this. Hey y'all, I'm back. I just had to sleep some, so it's the next morning and I've got the lure all masked off and ready to paint. So I think we'll start off likely doing a double coat of Wicked Opaque White for the base coat and Createx Pearl White for that fleshy base color. And after that, just regular painting time. So let's just get on started and I'll show you what we can get done. All right. Now, if you were wondering what I use the Iwata Eclipse HPCS airbrush. Can kind of pick that up. Still wants to focus on the lure. And we'll be ready for that base coat. So yeah, let's go on ahead and give this its base coat. That didn't take long at all. And that shows up perfectly fine against that white background. Let's get that out of there. You know what? I'll go a little more natural and give it just a tint of Maui blue. Almost forgot. I'm gonna give this a little bit of this pearl white, mostly on the belly, so it'll have that natural rainbow trout fishy look to it. Let's see how she do. A little bit of pearl white there. There. Along the belly, and the chin. I have some leftovers. I'll go on ahead and do the back. That's actually a pretty nice little start for a rainbow trout. I hope you like how it's turning out, because I'm kind of happy with it. The bait slightly under 4 inches, or not inches, centimeters. This ought to be quite a nice lure once it's all finished up. A little bit of this transparent Maui blue. Get behind there. Transparent Maui. I'm gonna put it just on the shoulders. Yeah, about like that. Alrighty. So now we're gonna give the top of that a little bit of this turquoise. It's actually going fairly quickly. Our little attempt at getting a good looking rainbow trout. Hadn't used this color apparently. But yeah, let's see how it'll come together right now. Yeah, that made a nice, smooth little gradient. I like this side better. Didn't go down near as far. And it's got that nice shine to it, because I gave it a clear coat before I bothered with painting. It's another reason why I'm dressed differently. I had to wait for my clear coat to fully cure. Alright, now that we got that, here's where we were. If you remember. There, get a better look at that instead of me. Try out some of this here metallic rose. Metallic rose. Come on, focus. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of that in a thin line towards the middle for a base for that line that rainbows have. Make it look just a tinge dirty. And dirty tends to look a little more natural in my experience. Okay, just giving it a little swoosh. Not too heavy, because you don't want to really touch that needle very much because you can very easily mess up an airbrush, and that's not what I'm going for. But anyway, it's about ready for that next layer of paint, which is high vis natural. I'd like a bit of a forest green. Wicked phthalo green will do. Not exactly sure how you pronounce that. Phthalo. But you don't need to pronounce something to have it still look pretty. Just a little bit of that on the back towards the head. Now, it reads as a Anyway, it reads as a little more blue than it does green, but that little bit of green really does help tie it all together. So next I'm gonna just let it dry a little bit. See, that's the kind of green it gets. I'll be giving it that stripe of metallic rose down the side again. And that step is only really for like background noise. Some colors like this particular shade of green are a little bit challenging to get all the way out of your airbrush. But honestly, I had a little bit more trouble getting that phthalo green out of it than I do white, and typically white is held as the paint that's difficult to get out of an airbrush. So, anyway, I've let it sit probably long enough. If I can just be gentle with it, don't shoot it too close. Makes me nervous because it's so shiny still. Tempted to break out the heat gun and heat set it, but I don't want the wind from the heat gun to push the paint around. All right, I think I've let it sit long enough. I hope. I'm gonna give it a try and pray that it doesn't get all flippy. And that's the last thing I want. There's a lot of last things I want, apparently. That's really turning out pretty. How it's got that mottled kind of look to it. In person, it's pretty striking. But, alright, enough. Okay, my camera died. I don't know if it saved the video or not, but here's how this is looking after giving it that base coat of rose gold. Starting to look rainbow trouty. I'm gonna give it another little accent there to hopefully push it, and that will be a little touch of fluorescent pink. And after that, I can start painting gills and scales. Gills are going to be simple though, so because it's less than 2 inches long on the bait. But I cut out a little stencil for it, so we'll see how it goes. It might be best gills I've ever painted. Typically, if I were to make a bait this small, I probably would have had carved out gills. I just didn't think about it because it's been a little bit since I made my last start to finish hard lure. I've been focusing more on soft plastics as of late. But anyway, I've got, what I was gonna say is I've got my lure more or less dry, and I've got fluorescent pink in the airbrush, and that's very bright, so I think it'll contrast well with this and giving it a pseudo, like combo natural and unnatural kind of paint job, like cartoony. And that's always a fun way to go, but not too cartoony. I'm gonna make this as thin as I can. So give me thumbs up for good luck, I guess. Let's see. Another lure over here. There's a tinge of pink on. That's gonna be a perch over here. If you want to see perch come together, just follow my Instagram. Like I said before, you don't have to, but it always helps to support me by checking out my stuff, telling me what you think about it. I can always improve on my future lures, and it'll be a lot easier to improve knowing what y'all think. But anyway, let's get back to this here rainbow trout. I'm gonna give it a little bit of pearl white on the belly to kind of drown out some of that fluorescent pink, because it's a wide nozzle on this airbrush, and I can't get near as tiny of lines as I would like to. And I like it. It's suiting me well for all my lure making that I've done over the past 3-ish years. Puppy and kitty? What do y'all want? I love my critters. You gotta be thankful for what you got. And for me, that's a whole bunch of cats. And lady. The puppy. You coming here, puppy? Come on up. Yeah. Distraction pup. But yeah, let's see what we can do. Because I got pearl white in here. She'll probably jump down as soon as I start up my airbrush, but nothing wrong with a little bit of lap time before you get to those details. Alright, puppy, let's see. You scared? Yep, she's jumping down. She's half Vice and half Chihuahua. I haven't even put gills on it yet, but it still looks gilly. Getting that natural look. Pseudo-natural. With a bit of shine now because of the pearl white. I believe there's not too many steps from here on. I'm gonna let this sit for a moment because I do not want to mess up my paint job just because I was impatient and had to put gills on immediately. Baby cat. Kitty. Ocean. Baby cat. Kitty. Oh. Yeah. Oh, baby. She's our little three-legged kitty cat. Yeah? You want something? Good morning. It's the next day, and there's another look at how that looks with everything good and ready for clear coat, which we're gonna do right now. 30-minute epoxy, 2-part clear coat for the durability and the clean, clear sheen. Okay. What I like to do for a bait of this size is try and get it to about halfway up that 2.5 cc's with each one of the hardener and resin. I like to do a little bit more of the hardener because I do not want my lure to not set up properly. So let's go on ahead and mix some things up. I got it like right at 2.5. That's about double. I guess I'm gonna give something else a clear coat just for the sake of not wasting what I've already got. Get another bit of this hardener now. And like I said, keep it like just a little bit more hardener than you do resin because of reasons. Okay, so get that started. Use my tongue depressor and just get her going. It's kind of thick. Makes me think my resin's getting old. Whipping bubbles into it. I don't want that. Okay. And give that, I think I'm gonna give that a little bit of this glitter in, what color is this? Pink, but yeah, fine, soft pink. Got from Hobby Lobby. It's not gonna take a lot. That'll look well, match well with that rainbow trout pattern. Gives it a natural kind of look to it. I'm not gonna add any other flake to that except some of this interference blue mica shift powder from 8-Bit Baits. This stuff really acts on your clear coat and makes it look quite pretty. Gives it that natural look as well. Makes things look very fishy with that light pink flake and just the tiniest bit of that interference blue. With this little amount of clear coat that we got, we don't need a lot. I'm just using like a 1/2 of a 64th of a teaspoon, and that's gobs. Let's get her going. Oh yeah, that's already looking pretty. Just a little bit of blue in with that. And boy, that looks nice already. Doesn't really show up as well with my camera, but once it's on the lure, I think you'll be able to tell a difference. So, let's go on ahead and apply it with my hog hair brush. Get good and even. There's no lip on it to worry about, so that's easier. You don't have to work around. It is looking pretty shiny already. Yeah, that'll really add to that minnow look I'm wanting to go with. Now, it's a nice, even, thin coat, and just add a little bit evening out around that dorsal fin. See that? Before it's even set, that just really makes it pop. So, speaking of spinning a lure, let's not do it by hand. Let's go to my rotisserie. Just clamp it to your rotisserie. Give it a nice, thorough, even coat by letting it spin. That way you don't get any ridges or bubbles or any undesirable texture on your clear coat. It'll just flash and shimmer and look nice. It filled in the hook hangers though, but I can always drill that out. Baby Dee. Puppy. Are you sleeping on a pillow? She is out. That hum of my rotisserie was all it took to make her a sleepy puppy. Puppy, you sleepy? Oh, poor puppy didn't get enough sleep last night. Needs to sleep all through the day. Well, you can go back to sleep, Shug. Okay, that's what I'll do. Shiny, puppy in your spine. Kitty. Yeah. Come here, kitty. Oh, that's a good kitty. And that's a quick way to clean it up. At least roughly clean it up. You're gonna wanna go back with a sharp knife, X-Acto knife maybe, and clean up the edges without cutting into that through wire. They'll be more likely to freely swing, which makes you lose less fish. That's what I meant. Always wear shoes when I'm lure making, because otherwise I'll ruin socks with super glue. I'll do even worse than that. Go for the soft plastics and you'll make just one little mistake or drop, spill, or accidentally shoot molten plastisol all over the top of your foot, and that feels just amazing. So my advice is always wear your shoes. Okay, just got those hook hangers cleaned up. Just a nice little lure. And it's ready now for components. Ready now for components. So first, we'll be giving it a clevis and a blade. Just start that off by running your clevis down your wire. Doesn't matter which way it goes. In my experience, I don't think so, at least. I'm not infallible though, so I could be wrong. And let's see. I was looking at this and I think that the most interesting and pretty blade I have for this would be this little whipper blade. Got a little minnow pattern. Kinda hammered minnow. Okay. See if y'all can see how that looks in the water. Comes in upside down. There's a little bass down there. Maybe I can trick him into getting it. It's subtle enough. Doesn't really have much action, so if they're annoyed or something, they might just want it. It does act better without that feather treble, though. That feather treble just added too much buoyancy. So I'm gonna give it a drilled out couple of 1/8 inch holes. One here, some maybe in the tail even. We'll get it to work if I can, but we'll see. The spinner spins now though, so that's a good at least. Just gotta work it like a very subtle jerk bait to get it to do anything. Something's just bumped it. And this pond is full of bass, so there's no telling. Stupid pond bass could bite just about anything. Not that pond bass are always stupid. I've seen some 10-pounders in here. Wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, I'll let you be, and we'll be back at the shop. Well, I went out and tested it yesterday, and it ran through the water just like that. So I went on ahead and took the hooks off and marked with my awl a few spots. Y'all can see, not very prominent, but right there, there, and there. And then same spot on the opposite side. I'm gonna get my hand drill out and make some holes and fill them with tungsten, because that ought to be about doubling the weight, and if that doesn't fix it, then it's just a dud. Let's pray it doesn't end up just being a dud, because I put too much time into this for it to be yet another Christmas ornament. Very much a precision kind of thing, so you don't do that. Try your best to keep it from slipping. Just, honestly, it works a little better if you start off first with a smaller drill bit just for making a pilot hole, but I'd rather not end up messing with a pilot hole and just get my lure working the way I want it to just as quick as possible. And so No pilot hole on this, just straight to the hole. Making it just a little touch above 1/8 of an inch so I can fit in my 1/8 inch ball bearings. So let's just keep on going. It's getting into that clear coat and making some progress. Well, it's not the prettiest patch job, but in theory it should work. Still has a nice profile, maybe a little chunkier, but we'll see how it goes. Get the hooks back on. Since it's all clear coated and cured, we'll have it out on the water. I'm determined to catch a fish on this thing. So we'll see. See you on the water. Baby cat. Wanna be on YouTube? Not really. Oh, baby. Okay, you can be on this show too. It's the next morning and I'm just getting some coffee in me. And pretty soon though, I'm gonna go out, get on the water. Unless baby cat has a problem with it. And we'll test out how that little tail spinner now works. And I'm gonna stick with it today. If I catch a fish, that's perfect. If I don't, that's the only reason why you'll end up having this video as a failure. We'll see. See you on the marina, I guess. We'll go. Get some action shot. Got a little bitty wobble and that blade spins just fine. Nothing wrong with that. Comes in on its side. If you pull it too fast, I might end up having to edit it a little bit more if this proves to be a difficulty. But nonetheless, it's still running and that blade is spinning. That's a lot better than the offset spinner was. Let's see if we can't catch a bass. What is that? Yet another stick. almost lost it. I ended up getting a phone call from a wrong number mid-recording, and I may have lost some footage, but no fish so far, so not that big of a loss. We'll still play around with it though, and if this doesn't pan out and I can't get a fish on my tail spinner today, I'll work on it, add some more weight to it so it sinks faster than the tail does, stays upright a little better. And nonetheless, we'll still catch a fish because I've got some ultralight soft plastics I made that I brought with, and those are a pretty good confidence lure for me. So one way or another, today we'll get a fish. All right, last chance here to see if there's not at least something biting. And I'll be testing that theory with this little bitty green pumpkin hellgrammite lure with purple 1/8 ounce mule fishing jig head on it. We'll see if we can't at least get a brim or something. Because if the brim are biting, it might just be a matter of tweaking the action, going back to the shop. I'll be trip number 5, I guess. Anyway, we'll see. Oh, finally. Beautiful little brim. Bluegill. Perfect little bluegill. Pretty colors. And on one of my lures. That's what I was hoping for. Just one fish, boost my confidence a little bit. Filled over with UV resin and cured. It's now time to paint the belly again. And then I guess just give it another thin coat of UV resin and it'll be ready to go start fishing once we get those hooks on too. Alrighty, this is painted now, so all I gotta do is clean it up a little bit, give it another layer of hard UV resin, then put the hooks back on. Then we'll be ready to go fishing. And if it doesn't work there, we're moving on to the next lure because it should work. And if it's not gonna work, then it's probably just because I did too much removing on the wood. Let's see. Let's go to the marina, see how it goes. Well, I've been here for probably 2 hours or so, and I'm thinking I'm gonna stop off at another spot right quick. Because all I'm seeing here are carp and gar. We'll just be heading off to the rock bank, as I call it, and we'll see if we can't get something out of it. Hopefully we can get one fish, just one fish. But even if we don't, this is my last fishing trip for this video. We'll just do as long and as well as we can. First bass that I ever caught, I caught him a square bill. right here. Let's see. Something doesn't want something else. Well, we've tested it, we've tweaked it, we've fished with it. I got some bites, just nothing wanted to commit. But I've dedicated enough time to this little lure on this particular video. I do plan on catching some fish on this someday. I don't want to just have it be a permanent failure kind of thing, but for right now, let's just set it in the shadow box as keepsake. First video, first lure. I think it came out kind of cute still, even though I had to basically rip off the whole belly. It works okay. We'll play around with it. Not gonna edit it anymore because I've busted this lure open probably 6 times now. And so, let's just call this video the end for now. And someday soon, I'll take it out again. Maybe after I get a few videos under my belt, kayaking with some other lures if they don't catch fish in the video as well. But I'm kind of happy with it. Even if it didn't turn out well, it's helped me to learn a lot about how inline offset spinners and tail spinners should work. And so what if it didn't work immediately? Anyway, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, subscribe, like the video, and we'll see what else I can make. Maybe next video, I'll do something a little more likely to be functional right off the bat, like something I know without having to bust into it a billion times. Like I could make a crankbait, maybe a deep diver, square bill. I have a lot of confidence in a square bill. How about we do that? Let's just make a nice square bill. Something fun, maybe a little more detailed. Cut out a fin stencil and we'll get it to catch a fish. Compile some more lures. If we can't get them to work right off the bat, we'll just take them out, go out to the lake in my kayak, and make a day of it. Might even make something top water, because I've been getting pretty good luck on top water lately. Like I just caught a little bass on a wake bait I made. I put that video on my Instagram. You can see every lure I make. I post a picture of to my Instagram page at Misaki Custom Lures. And we'll see and catch us some fish. See you in the next video.